Look at these tomato plants. They are doing fantastic, and it's just almost time to get them in the ground. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Red Negative video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today I just want to give you an update on how things are going for the gardening season. It's just, like I said, almost time to put everything in the ground. We are at the end of April, getting ready. What's today? The 28th, 29th? 28th. Yeah, 28th of April. So we're just a couple of days away from the first day of May. You know, it's still a little bit earlier to put most of this stuff in. I mean, it was last night the low was 40 degrees, which is a little chilly for like peppers and tomatoes and things like that. Had to bring everything inside for the night, but it's getting close. That may be the last cool night that we have. I usually plant my tomatoes, my peppers, and those things out into the garden about the second week of May. So we're just about 2 weeks out from getting that stuff in the ground. Let's take a look and see how things are going right now. All right, so if you guys have been following my channel, you remember that I started seeds, tomatoes and peppers, some basil and some of those kinds of things back in March, early March. And this is where we're at today. These things are doing great. I've got some of them even starting to flower right now, just ready to go. And that's one of the reasons why I always tell people, don't start your tomatoes too early because you end up with, I mean, they just get huge. They outgrow their pots. And you can probably tell, I mean, I got roots coming out the bottom of the pots. These things are ready to go. But everything's doing really, really well. Got my pepper plants up here. They're all doing fantastic. Everything looks great. A couple of basil. Most of the basil I've already put in the ground, and the parsley, we'll go up and take a look at that here in just a second. And then these down here are some flowers that my wife has started. Not much going on in the garden just yet. It's a little bit early for stuff. The garlic's doing fantastic. You know, this stuff was planted back in September. I did get the ground cover laid out over this. You know, I do use a sheet mulching, or you may know it as a back to Eden method of gardening. So there are wood chips underneath this, and it's worked great for me for about 5 years now. No problems, but you know, I got some kind of vine growing in here, some kind of like wild morning glory or something like that. And the Bermuda grass has kind of made its way into the garden. And it took a while, but eventually it made its way in. So I laid out some ground cover over the top of the wood chips this year to kind of keep all that at bay. But again, not much planted out yet. The garlic that was done way back in September is doing great. I've got some onions that we put in, just put them in a little bit late. We could have put these in about a month and a half ago, and I was a little bit late getting them in the ground, but they should grow. They should do just fine. That's about all that's going on in the garden itself right now. But again, 2 weeks from now, we're really going to take off. And this is the self-watering bed that I put in. It's doing great. The lettuce is doing great. The broccoli and the Brussels sprouts over there, I'm a little worried it's going to get too warm for them. But right now, they're doing fantastic. And the reddish, I've got a couple that are just about ready to pull out of here and eat. Everything's doing very, very well in here. I did lose some plants because the day after I put these in, we had a big hailstorm, beat the tar out of them. Most of them recovered, but I lost a couple of lettuce plants over here. I filled in the gaps with some onion starts earlier today, so we'll just see how those do. But everything else in here doing very, very well so far. This is working out great. And the herb garden. You know, I've got some basil. This is regular basil here. I've got some cinnamon basil right over there. This is celery that we started from just store-bought celery. Use the celery and then take the you know, the bottom piece of it when you cut the celery off, I guess. Stick that in a bowl of water in the sink or in the window and let that root out. It started growing, rooted out. Potted in some pots with some good potting mix and let that grow out just a little bit and then transplanted it out here. So far it's doing pretty well. All this stuff needs watered. You notice the basil looks a little bit wilty. But it's going to rain tonight and it's going to rain for like the next week, so I'm not even going to bother it. This is oregano. This has been growing for a couple of years now. It comes back every year. So does the thyme right here. And I'm going to end up having to cut them back because they're taking up the whole garden. We see we got some parsley going over here. This is lavender. Was planted last year. It overwintered all right and came back on its own. I'm going to be putting in some dill and some, I've forgotten what else I'm going to put in here. But anyway, so far, this stuff's doing very, very well. Well, with everything doing so well, I'm very happy with the results so far. But it's, you know, getting anxious to get this stuff in the ground, waiting, and I just almost completely forgot to start my zucchini, my summer squash, my cucumber, my cantaloupe, that kind of stuff. Honestly, cucumber, cantaloupe, I just start in the ground, but I'm going to go ahead and start the other stuff anyway, so I figured why not go ahead and get some of those started, get a couple of weeks start on them. I don't start those things. My zucchini and my summer squash are the big things I'm going to start, and some birdhouse gourds here. I don't like to start that stuff too early because it grows so fast, it gets so big so fast. But what I'm going to do, I've got about 2 weeks before I can put that stuff in the ground out in the garden, so I can get a 2-week jump on it by going ahead and starting it. And that'll give me enough time to get the seeds sprouted, get them up just a little bit. About the time they need to be transplanted out into like a bigger pot or something like that, then they're ready to go out into the ground. I can just do that. And the days are so nice that I can get them, I can set them outside. I don't have to harden them off or anything like that. So it works out pretty well to go ahead and just get them started. I'm going to start these the same way I've started everything else that I've started. If you need help on how to start seeds, there's a little bit more of an in-depth video on that. I'll put a link right here. Maybe it's on this side. I get mixed up as to which side it goes on, but I'll put a link up there. You can go back and watch that video on how I started all this stuff that you see growing back here. Do it the same way. I'm using some sterile potting mix, or some sterile seed starting mix, excuse me. And I'm just going to go ahead and get my trays filled up, and then we'll get to starting some seeds. Okay, got my trays pretty much filled up here, and I think I'll start off with let's do some summer squash. Don't need a lot of summer squash because, you know, they produce like crazy, so don't need to go too overboard with it, but I'll go ahead and start probably won't grow more than maybe 3 or 4, but I'll go ahead and start 6 of them. And you know, if I got 1 or 2 that didn't do so well, I have more to choose from. If they all do great, I'll have some to give away to some friends or family. These are pretty good germination rates on the seeds, so I'm only going to put 2 in each pot, or each spot, I should say. And then we'll just select the largest seed if they both sprout. Gotta label it, because if I don't, I will not have any idea what that is. And there we go. Summer squash is done. Let's do some zucchini next. Same thing, I'm going to start 6 of them. I probably won't grow more than about 3 of them, but well, you get the idea. You know how that works now. Alright, summer squash and zucchini down. Let's see, what do I want to do next? Let me get these sealed up before I dump them everywhere. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog over there. Poor Max. He's got a rabbit trapped underneath the heating air unit. He's really trying to get it to come out of there. Let's see what else I got here. I'm going to start some watermelon, or excuse me, some cantaloupe. That's cilantro. I'll probably start that. Oh, let's start some dill. And some cucumber. What do I want to do next? Let's do the birdhouse gourds in here. Let me start some birdhouse gourds. We'll see how they do. Alright, so these are all started. I'll just put these in a tray, put a humidity dome over them. I can leave them outside. I'll leave them in the shade while the humidity dome's over them until they get sprouted. Once they get sprouted, the humidity dome comes off, and then I can move them into the sun. And I won't have to harden them off. I may have to bring them in at night if the temperatures drop down, but otherwise they'll do just fine. Alright, so I've got some more trays to fill up here. I've got to get some, I'm going to get some cantaloupe going. I'll probably grow, I don't know, I'll probably start about 6 of those. That's plenty of cantaloupe. And cucumbers, probably about 6 of those as well. And then we'll see what we got left and we'll go from there. Anyway, process is the same for that. I'll keep you guys updated on, I better quit crinkling that in the microphone for you. I'm going to keep you guys updated on the progress of how this stuff goes throughout the year. But again, tomatoes look great. They're already starting to bloom, which I'd really rather them not until I got them in the ground. But boy, they are anxious, ready to go. Peppers look great too. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, God bless.